nice and chilly outside this morning. I'd say the ground's a little bit frozen. Let's go get some work done. Right now I'm headed to the farm to meet up with the boss. We're gonna carpool over to one of our bin sites to the west and help Chris and Jeff sweep out one of our corn bins that we've been working on over there. This bin site is one of a few that we have that can only be swept out if it's dry or if it's frozen. And right now it's a nice 24 degrees, so that's perfect weather to take the truck over, empty another bin. It's supposed to stay below freezing well past noon. The sun did just pop out of the clouds though about 20 minutes ago. That's usually a bad sign for frozen ground, especially when you're flirting with 30-degree temperatures. Other than that though, something else really important is happening this morning. The January WASDE's coming out, or the World Agricultural Supply and Demand Estimates Report. That's a mouthful. It's released today at 11 a.m. Central. This report is extremely important for the grain markets because it really sets the precedence going forward for basically the world supply and demand. It'll have all sorts of information about different crops. Primarily, I only care about corn and soybeans. Maybe give us some production estimates from the United States from last season, some projections for next season, as well as estimates for other major countries like Brazil and Argentina, two of the largest producers of corn and soybeans in the world. We'll see how that unfolds at 11 o'clock. Hopefully it's bullish. All right, that's enough talking. We're gonna head over, get started on our work, but before we do, make sure you like the video. Man, someone's not very patient. Couldn't even let me get out of my truck. The good news is they're actually already almost done with this bin, so I don't have that much work to do. Or we don't have that much work to do. Just 2 short years ago, this was a bin with the shiver system. We got in it though one fall and the pipe had been completely snapped off in the middle. So now it's just a regular grain bin. We had to make some adjustments though to make the sweep auger work in here because the shiver system typically has its own screw to empty the bin out. It's as easy as that, as I sit here and watch it work. This fan we're using to vent the bin isn't really doing as much as I thought it was going to. It's rather dusty in here. I probably should have put a mask on. You know what they say though, people who go maskless in grain bins, they don't get coronavirus, or at least that'd be a good meme. I don't think that works at all. You can still see the remains of the shiver system that we had to take out a few years ago. There's the pipe that would feed the other bins after the corn's dry. Then there would have been a screw from the top to bottom, which is what was bent in half, and that is where it attached to the bottom. Since there isn't any kind of a sleeve inside of the middle to put a traditional sweep auger in, we had to use a harvester grate set over the hole. That's just a regular sweep down. Okay, that's the last one. We need that sweep auger this bin side. As I was saying, that grate we were standing the sweep auger up, you traditionally use on a harvester like that. Other than once in a blue moon, no pun intended, we haven't filled a harvester in a long time. Time to move the belt conveyor over to the dreaded government beds. Although they can't really be that dreaded because they have unsold beans in them, and cash beans right now are almost $14. So if we could find like 10 more of these bins full of beans, that'd be awesome. I just hate having to empty them. Oh gosh. We can empty about 2/3 of the bin out of the door. It's a lot faster than a 6-inch worn out screw auger. Whew. All this hoeing's got me out of shape. I thought that was supposed to be good for you, but all this physical activity is going to have me drained. Unfortunately, the whole process of emptying out that grain bin and subsequently cleaning up after took a heck of a lot less time than I was expecting when I started this morning. That means I have a lot of time left on my agenda to burn. With the ground frozen, that leaves me about one option, and that's to go around the backhoe, which, as I've told you, is pretty much the same thing I've been doing on and off for the last 6 weeks. Oh well, progress is progress. There she is, sitting back there next to my piles of dirt. This is much nicer when the lane's frozen. We don't have to drive through those nasty ruts. Plus, this truck really isn't that good in the mud. It's more of a road vehicle. I've got the backhoe over there warming up as we speak. It needed a little bit of thawing out after a long night of cold weather, and I like to be friendly to it when I can. So back on the topic of grain, the completion of that grain bin this morning leaves us with 5 more corn bins to go and 4 bean bins, counting the bean bin we just set up to, but those 3 government bins only hold 3,000 plus bushels of beans apiece, which really is not that much. That's kind of the hassle of dealing with them, is that you spend less than a day on each one. There have been days where I've been in 2 of those bins in one day with a sweep auger, which is just no fun. I would estimate that we have about 75,000 bushels of corn total on the farm, still to haul, and maybe 14,000 bushels of beans. We are extremely far ahead of what I would call our normal pace for hauling grain. Typically, we would have just gotten started about 2 weeks ago, whereas now we're probably 75% done. I can't believe that I got this far in the video without mentioning the fact that the channel finally hit 10,000 subscribers. It amazes me that in the last 11 months since I started this channel and uploaded my first video, that many of you have hit that subscribe button and wanted to see more of my content. I'm greatly appreciative of all your support, and I hope you continue to stay tuned. Before you know it, it's going to be spring. We're going to be getting all of our equipment out, cleaning everything up, hooking up all of our very important implements. A lot of good content in the pipeline. If you're not one of those 10,000 subscribers yourself, what are you doing? Hit that button down below. And don't forget to like the video. Okay, I'm gonna go dig. It's 9:40, 29 degrees. My truck says 30, and the sun's out. So I would say that my window is very limited until this ground gets soft. Let's head over to that ditch. This is what happened last time I came out here and it wasn't frozen. In my defense, I thought it was a little bit firmer on top than it was when I went out here and made that mess. The gentleman who owns some of this farm ground to the north likes to come out here and ride his side-by-side and walk his dogs. And he was out here right when I was doing this, and I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's gonna think I'm purposely destroying part of his lane or our lane. Not entirely sure whose grass strip that is. Hopefully he wasn't upset because it was not malicious. Purely an accident. I hate to say it, but it's almost nicer to make a mistake when no one's around to see it. Which isn't even really possible when I'm carrying this camera around. You all know though, I don't make any mistakes. Right? For almost the entire length of this other ditch that I've been digging out, I've been hitting this old clay tile laid directly adjacent to the ditch in the bottom. I'm almost 90% certain that it was already abandoned or decommissioned, whatever you want to call it. It was completely silted in. Anywhere I hit it, there wasn't any water coming out of it. Surely it wasn't being used. Whoever knows the answer to what that tile was doing is probably long gone from this earth. Regardless, if it was actually a functioning set of drainage tile, you wouldn't be able to patch that at this point, considering how much of it I've dug out. You'd probably have to bring the tile plow and just run a new one. It's getting dangerously close out here to being completely thawed out. I don't want to be caught out here in the mud, so I'm going to head back to the CRP filter strip where I had this parked, and we're going to go watch this report. Oh. Didn't take long for the sun to spoil our fun. T-minus 10 minutes till the WASDE report's released. Waiting on this report feels a lot like I'm in like a back alley behind a Denny's, playing dice against someone, trying to decide whether or not I'm going to have steak for dinner or ramen, depending on the results. So I'm going to sit here constantly refreshing Twitter, waiting to see what the report numbers are. My late granddad would be so fascinated that that was possible, just because he used to have a DTN subscription and a satellite, so he could have a live feed of the market at all times. Now you can just get it from your phone. Let's take a look at what they're expecting. I'm going to use this chart put together by Darren Fessler at Lakefront Futures and Options. I hope he doesn't mind that I use this. All of these lines are very important. I think the two that are going to have the most focus in this report or have the most weight is the USDA 2021 carryout and also the 2020 yield, which is the final yields from last crop season. It'll be interesting to see if they make any adjustments to that final yield. And if they lower that carryout, especially on the soybeans, we may see a very tremendous rise in crop prices again. The corn market really isn't that bullish. However, the price between corn and soybeans are so closely intertwined that if soybeans go up, corn basically has to follow. Thanks for letting me use your chart, Darren. We're going to sit here and furiously refresh Twitter until we see the report data. All right, it's 11 o'clock. Enjoy my nice broken phone screen. Someone's already put up a wheat update. Unfortunately, I don't care about wheat. Not to offend any of you people who enjoy raising poverty grass. Soybean production is estimated at 4.135 billion bushels, down 35 million, led by reductions for Minnesota, Iowa, and Kansas. So that is a retrospective decrease in our production from last year based on lower yields than were projected. Here's an initial market reaction. Corn is up 17 cents a bushel, soybeans are up 35 cents a bushel, and wheat is up 17 cents a bushel. I'd call that pretty bullish. Well, folks, I'm not a market expert, and I'll tell you that a million times, but I can draw a few conclusions. They lowered our production from last season retrospectively, and they've lowered our ending stocks, which means we do not have as much supply on hand as we thought a few months ago. I think that means that we're eating steak tonight. Maybe not corn-fed steak, though. That's probably a little expensive right now. It's fascinating, really. Some people out there in the world get excited when the Kardashians do something new, get a new car, get some new plastic surgery or something. Farmers, though, get excited when grain reports come out. An interesting dichotomy we have. It only took them about 2 loads to get this thing about 2/3 of the way empty. Now for the slow part. At that speed that worn-out outlogger runs, it may take Jeff 45 minutes to an hour to load this truck. Thankfully, I'm not a truck driver today. Since corn and beans are almost limit up on the market today, I think we can afford to restring our boots for the first time in the last year. They don't like to stay tied once that outer coating comes off. Out with the old, in with the new. That's simple. It's like a brand new pair of boots. This is what I get for cracking into my old supply of shoestrings for my tall Red Wing boots that I wore for a long time. A little bit long. Have to tuck them in. Genuine ostrich, 3 payments. Oh, I'm just goofing. New boot goofing. Use a little more gravity before we put it in the hole. Set these beans down. It's that easy. I didn't go very far. I don't think I can say that this sweep is small but mighty because it can't even keep the outlogger on this bin full. This small little fun-sized sweep auger is what we used to clean out our harvesters with. My boots are already full of beans. It may not seem like it, but there is an art to that. An art that I actually don't know myself either, so that's what took me so long. I got in the bin, now to see if I can get out. Trapeze act. Oh, perfect. There you have it. See what kind of bonus I got today. There goes a very full truck of soybeans. It won't make it to the elevator today, but tomorrow, first thing in the morning, it will be there. And then we'll set up to the second out of third government bin. Wow. At $14 beans, those are worth quite a bit. What a beautiful ending to a long, productive, and prosperous day out here in God's country. Doesn't get any better than that. Except for the fact that it's 45 degrees right now and it feels like it's 0 degrees. I'm not quite sure why that is that way. We'll take the good with the bad. A little bit of housekeeping to end the video. Right now I'm kind of penciling out some ideas for some more informative and less vlog-based videos. I know a lot of you have complimented my ability to explain different parts of agriculture, and I'd like to roll that out into a video format that's maybe a little bit more entertaining and informative than just me holding a camera and talking to you. Be on the lookout for a video like that sometime in the next few weeks. You'll know when you see it. That being said, we finally reached the end of this workday. I think I'm going to end the video here. I really appreciate all of your support. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment if you have any questions. Have a great night, everyone. Peace!